Hello, Auden Bush here with Life Relaunch Blueprint. And the blueprint has very specific steps, which is what gives it its power. And the second step is how do we grab hold of our own power? And we use the color yellow because yellow is a color of power, the sun, and so on. This is a very powerful program, and it is called 4-Step Accelerator Program. And we're going to cover each one really carefully because what we're going to do is something that will accelerate your process, and you will have it so you can use it over and over, and you will feel a momentum growing in you. Today, we live in a world that is really wanting to control how we live. It can be in so many different ways. We've been through a lot of chaos, and it really has taken away some of our personal power. Yes, we have things that happen in our personal life that will do that as well, but we can't stay there. We have to grab hold and we have to move forward. But like with a lot of things, something powerful always has a story. So I want to tell you how I came upon this accelerator process that is so powerful for you. When I was a little girl of 2, I was abandoned in an institution. People would say, well, how did you end up there? Well, my father had just finished a residency in psychiatry and took his family, his young family, to live in a mental institution of 5,000 severely mentally ill people. No, we didn't have a little house off in the corner. We lived right in the middle of all of that. My mother's response to that was to begin drinking seriously. Quickly, she became a maintenance drinker, which meant she would drink the first thing in the morning, get herself to a level, and maintain that level all day. Eventually, she left the family. But for me, that was part of being the abandoned child. My father, he had his dream job, and family was not going to interfere with that. So there I was, abandoned in an institution from the age of 2 until I was 21. People would say, well, where did you eat? Well, there was a dining room, and I learned that if I got there at a certain time, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I would be fed. Outside of that, I was very alone. So I really began to lose a lot of my power in a situation like that. One would expect that. But I began to really struggle with that. I didn't want that. I knew someplace inside of me, I desired something more. And I realized I didn't want to be on that roller coaster of, okay, I have power, I don't have power, I have power, I don't have power. I started repeating things over and over that seemed to work. And the more I repeated them, it became like a flywheel. The more strength I got, the better I got, the longer I could stay where I felt my power. And when I did that, I found that my times of being low weren't as long or as deep, and the highs were much more sustained, and I felt a lot more in control, power, hopeful, positive, able to deal with life. And that is what I am going to share with you, every step of that, so you too can get that momentum going in your life. This is the first part of the flywheel, and it's called protocol. Protocol has 3 steps in it. First is how we get up in the morning, but it's not so much just how we get up in the morning. It's the ritual that we follow, because when we're disciplined and we follow that ritual daily of deep breathing and getting up at the right time and doing the right things for ourselves, because really after a night of sleep, sometimes Our dreams can play games on our brain. But when we plug in that ritual and we know we're doing it, it gives us a great deal of power. It's also true with exercise. Exercise begins to release those wonderful chemicals in our brain. But again, it's not just doing that. It is the fact that we're doing it at a specific time. We're doing it regularly. And it's that regularity that brings that power back into us. And the third step for protocol is to visualize our day, to visualize it in the detail that really makes us feel we're going to meet each situation with power. That takes us to the second part of the flywheel, and that's obsessions. And people go, what's that? Well, I want to talk a little bit about obsessive thinking because we all do it. And the example that I like to use is obsessively thinking about this piece of cake at a great little cafe that is near us. They make the best carrot cake in the world. And I can get that vision in my head. I obsess on that. I'm hungry for it. I can smell it. I can taste it. I am obsessively thinking about that. And we obsessively think about a lot of things. When we obsessively think about the right things, and we do that over and over again, then we are building our power. Yeah, with the cake, I can eventually say, no, I want to lose weight, not going to go there. I can bring back my power because of that. But the point is the power that we have when we obsess about something. Use that in the right way, and it begins to build powerful momentum. Another is we can get off into our negative thoughts, and it's called ANTs, automatic negative thoughts. And those we have to be very careful of, especially if we're in a situation where we're beginning to feel the power go away. And this can be very small situations. Maybe somebody just says something and we're kind of like losing our power. We're not feeling very good, but we have to reframe it. And what we reframe it with are B's, and that's balanced, effective energy. And you know what I discovered is that I can just say over and over to myself, balanced, effective energy, balanced, effective energy. And I begin to feel better. But it's the concept of balancing reality, negativity, positivity, and that will give us that effective energy. So these are all things that are in that flywheel. When we get going, 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 it gets easier and more powerful. And the next part of the flywheel is environment. And environment is really important. And it's especially important to me. I will own that because of where I grew up. And the way I would kind of counter that when I was a little kid in that environment, certainly in my teen years, that place was not very conducive to power. And so I thought, well, one of the ways I can feel powerful is I'm going to bleach my hair and I'm going to be beautiful. Well, okay, that works for a little while. Then I began to design and sew my own clothes, and they're pretty cool, actually. However, all of that kind of thing is temporary. We can do it with a new car. We can do it with a new house. We can do it with a new set of sneakers or whatever. But the environment and how we use it and set it in a way that helps promote our power is something to be very cognizant of. Next are people. And I don't know, but today I'm starting to hear a lot of talk about people because we have to be careful. If we surround ourselves with people that are not moving forward, are not up, are not positive, are not really saying, yeah, but how to, not why, me, or whatever, we get in trouble. We have to spend a lot of energy to get up and over that. And it's true with sometimes we see in very good friends, relationships, family, and it gets to be a little difficult to deal with. But when we want to really stay with the power, be careful where we put our energy. The other is nutrition. And I found this to be very true, that if I haven't been eating properly and I get really hungry and somebody says something to me in the wrong way, or I get a disappointment of some sort, man, I can feel myself go way down. And nutrition is a very important part of environment. Yeah, we all need to be mindful of that. But even if we're eating healthy, if we're not doing it regularly and we let that energy wane, we start to give away our power or not keep the control that we really need. The next part of the flywheel is resilience. And this, it starts with no bouncing back. But we hear resilience is, yeah, just bounce back. If you're knocked down 3 times, get up a 4th, or however many times it is. And that is very true. However, when we say bouncing back, we are not going back to the point where we got knocked off. Sometimes people make that mistake and they're so fighting to get back to the way things were. But it's not going to be that way very rarely. So what we have to do is we have to move through, we have to move forward, we have to take those steps in the right direction. The next is playing it safe is not safe. And that is a big way we give away our power. If something really has happened, like, oh man, I want to just play it safe, but it is not safe. We're leaving ourselves vulnerable and open to a lot more things where it's harder and harder to get back that sense of power, of well-being, of hopefulness, and leaving helplessness aside. And the third thing under resilience is being courageous. And this is key. Being courageous again and again and again. Here's the flywheel. Protocol, obsession, environment, resilience. Protocol, obsession, environment, resilience. Protocol, obsession, environment, resilience. And we just get it going faster and faster so that when something hits us, we plug it in right away. We know all the action steps. We know what we're supposed to do. And that is where this accelerator process comes into play. We don't have to work so hard at it anymore. The highs stay there for a longer time, the lows less time, and they're not as low. So see yourself, that flywheel, protocol, obsession, environment, resilience, and double down on what works. When you find parts of it that work better for you, double down on it and go with it. For the whole Life Relaunch Blueprint, this goes through red is focus. That's where everything has to begin. If we're not able to focus and we're not able to generate the energy, all the rest of it is going to be very difficult. Second is ignite your power, the yellow. And that's what we've been talking about. That is critical because when we're doing a life relaunch, we have to make sure that we keep our inner power in control and at the higher levels. Mine for diamonds, that's when we're looking at the very best part of ourselves. Stretch for growth is green, of course. We know that we're stretching when it's a little frightening, when we can actually almost feel the stretch. We're aligning our values. We're realizing that this self that we're improving is also a life improvement. And we have to match what is going on in the outer world today, not a total focus on self-improvement. Then we hit the launch button and we are off with our final checklist. I hope that you have liked this. It's one of my favorite topics. And I can't tell you how powerful it is and how well it works. So subscribe because you can then be notified about all of our other releases. So, Life Relaunch Blueprint. the Accelerator formula. And today you have been introduced to that, and it is powerful. Thank you. Check out other topics on our YouTube channel. And remember, accelerate your life today, not tomorrow.